Hello everyone, the Overplay back, and today I wanted to talk a bit about some feedback that I have for the devs regarding the new Vanguard beta. And most of these are very easily fixable. There's a couple that would require some extra work, and there might be some easier solutions or some solutions that could help but not fully fix. The main one being the Gavutu, I think it's called, spawn advantage. So for those of you who haven't played it too much, it feels like whatever side spawns with the little shack in their spawn and can just jump off the cliff to the ship immediately has an advantage because they can take over the ship, and that just looks down on that right hand side of the map. I feel like I can't counter that. The windows on the opposing building are pretty destructible, and you're not safe in there really at all. You can't charge across without someone sniping you, and even if you get down low, the bottom of the ship is super exposed to just lots of different areas, so it's not like you can kind of wait for things to cool off or try to juke someone down there, because I feel like I would just get shot from some other angle. It's really annoying, and I feel like I can never win unless I spawn on that side, assuming that the opposing side doesn't take over the ship. If the side that doesn't spawn with it takes it over, then the opposite side gets spawn locked. But either way, I just think the ship needs to have maybe more destructible environment, maybe lower the railings a little bit, maybe make the opposing building a little less destructible, have it have less entrances. Something like that, something needs to be done. Next, I need to talk about the shotguns and the M1 Grand. These guns are never worth using, in my opinion. I don't know why they did it like this, but the M1 and the shotguns, the sprint out time isn't great. The M1 especially, but the M1 also has worse recoil than other guns, but you can never hit the second shot because of that recoil, and so snipers will take you out at longer ranges, and at closer ranges an STG is going to take you out. With the shotguns, I don't know why, but they can't one-shot, and I don't say that as in they technically can, but they don't ever. I mean that they literally cannot one-shot. If you are point blank with someone, they always require 2 shots. It is also extremely annoying that the range on them is just dog shit, to put it bluntly, and you can't, unless you are within 5 meters of them, you're not getting a kill. And even if you do get the kill, the reloads are going to take so long that you're going to get killed waiting for someone else, waiting to reload, and then someone else just comes and kills you. And because of the fact that you're going to be on small maps when you're using the shotguns, it's kind of hard to just get to a place of cover because you're running around trying to get in people's faces with the shotgun. There's no point in using them when the SMGs kill super fast as well and have good sprint out times and stuff like that. It's just, I don't get it. And also the hipfire is terrible as well. The shotguns are my main problem. The M1, I feel like if you kitted it right, it might have some advantage, but I think it just needs a little buff somewhere. Maybe to its recoil, maybe have it be more of a laser beam so you can kind of just, double tap people at range, because I feel like that's what it's meant for, but then again, the sniper rifles, you wouldn't want to outclass them, so I don't know, it's a balancing act. Moving on with gunsmith issues, I'm just going to talk about this in general. I think that they went too hard on the balance side of things. So for those of you who don't know, in Modern Warfare with the gunsmith system, oftentimes you couldn't have good sprint out and good ADS time. They would often counteract each other, or you get a hit to movement speed. You couldn't just buff movement stats without degrading movement stats as well. This, I feel like, was a really big issue, as it made the guns not fun to play with, and you couldn't really min-max, because if you minimized something, then another thing you would be trying to minimize would just get maxed, and it would lead to guns that were like decent but not great, but you couldn't take them any lower because they just nuke a stat. And I think that's the problem that we have here. So what happens is you'll be trying to equip things for short range, let's say, and your short range stuff will be fine, but the recoil will be so bad that at like 10 meters out, you just can't hit anything. And I don't mean that as in like, oh, I'm just bad at controlling recoil. No, I mean you'll aim down sight and the first 3 shots will kick above a person's body at 10 meters, which is saying something. It's really bad to wield, and it basically is working like an automatic pellet shotgun. I don't know how else to describe it. I really dislike this, and I think you need to make it so that way the recoil is a lot better. To counteract this, I think the recoil itself needs to be reworked, or at least some of these stats need to be reworked, where it's not as harsh of a punishment, but maybe not as much of a benefit. I'm not sure. I feel like this is something that's a pretty easy fix. Just make it so that way the initial recoil isn't as strong, because this is what's going to kill people in the majority of situations, because it very easily goes from being meh recoil to being unusable recoil, and I feel like that jump needs to be much more gradual. So make it so that way we can stack a couple of attachments. Allow the min-maxing. That was what was fun about Modern Warfare, is you could stack like 7 really good attachments on top of each other, and then you would have this M4 that had SMG properties. That's what made it fun. And I feel like if you're going to have this advanced gun system, that should be a thing. I feel like this is a pretty easy fix, and maybe because it's the beta, you wouldn't want stuff to be broken, but I think this is something that needs to be addressed. My fourth thing is that flinch is kind of weird. I really dislike it, and for whatever reason, for some reason, I get a lot of flinch whenever I'm trying to shoot at someone that has already shot at me. Visibility is also not good. I'm not going to go too much into that because that has more to do with maps in my opinion, but regardless, I think the flinch needs to be toned down just a tad. Especially if you're having the recoil properties that I stated earlier, it makes it impossible to turn on people. Which, it should be hard, but it shouldn't be impossible. Next, might just be a me thing, but I constantly get required network service failed. I just have to close the app and then reopen it, but it constantly doesn't let me in. And like after every 2 or 3 games, I have to just close the application and then restart it. I don't know why this happens, and it might just be a me thing. I'm on like a first-gen PS4, so I realize things may not be the best for me, but I think that's still an issue that needs to be addressed. Alright, going to visibility, like we talked about earlier, I want to talk about it more in a map scale. Now, I will say, I have a shitty monitor, I have a shitty console. So take this with a grain of salt when I say that I had a hard time seeing people. I would like to be able to see them better, and I think the colors should pop just a little bit more. Maybe not too much, just a little bit. But this might just be a me thing, and I probably should go back and check it out. Another small change, which may or may not just be me, the scopes on snipers feel really small. This doesn't really change too much in the end, but it's hard whenever I scope in and like 70% of my screen is just blur or something like that. Obviously I have depth of field off, but you're not looking at it a lot. It's very weird. I don't know why they're all this small, but I'd really like it if I could get a bigger scope picture. All guns sound suppressed. This is one of a very small complaint of mine, but I wasn't able to tell the difference between a non-suppressed gun and a suppressed gun. I think this might just be current audio issues. I've heard other people talking about this, but they all sound like the suppressed, and maybe just people using suppressors because it's a first unlock. But I swear it's very hard for me to tell when something is suppressed or not. And my final complaint is leveling. I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a very hard time leveling things up in this beta. I'm not level 30 yet, and it feels like I've put 8 to 12 hours in the game. I'm assuming that's what I've put into it. And, I kind of understand that. From one point, they want people to play it. But on the other hand, I want to be able to, max out 7 different guns. I don't want to spend 8 hours maxing out one gun in particular, and then be like, oh, well, no point in me doing anything else because I can't max out another gun. I'm not encouraged to try other guns because I can't realize their true potential even up to level 30 because I can't get them to level 30. However, I'm not putting this higher up on the list because I feel like this is exclusively a beta thing. There's no way that the guns are going to be this slow in the regular game, otherwise getting Damascus or whatever the equivalent is just going to be insanely hard and difficult, and people are going to drop out too early. As a final note, I want to say that even though this has been mainly negatives, I want to play this game. This game feels amazing. I really like how the gunplay is. The TTK isn't too fast, it's not too slow. If I really like Modern Warfare, and it has all the elements of that I like, and I'm excited to play this year. I want to make that very clear. These are my only issues with it right now, and a lot of these are small things that Modern Warfare had issues with as well at the beginning. I'm just saying that some of these could be addressed. The maps that we have right now are pretty good, besides the Gavutu issues that I had beforehand. The red line, you know, obviously is a big map, but I'm excited to see these new maps. I'm excited to see these new guns, quote unquote new. But let me make it clear, I want to play this game. It's fun. I like doing it. It's a nice grind. It's one of those games that I'll play 1 or 2 games, and the next thing I know, 4 hours has passed. Please continue working on it. It's a good product. I very much like it. I just have these complaints with it, and I feel with these, it'll boost it to that even higher level. Alright, that'll about do it. If you all enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you all want to see next. Next video is probably going to be on the worst guns in the game, which, hint hint, I mentioned them in this video. So, if there's anything else you want to see, or any tips and tricks you think I might have, just let me know. See you all next time. Bye-bye.